Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to the Mac Report. I am Elder Armand. Uh, Prophetess is on a break right now. She shall be back. Um, just keep her lifted in prayer, y'all. I want to welcome y'all tonight and thank you for joining in. Please like and share. If you have questions or comments, please place them in the chat and I will address them as they come. But good evening, good evening. Welcome to another Mac Report. Tonight we're going to talk about a little bit, a few things that's going to be mixed up in to Daniel chapter 6. Let me do something real quick, y'all. Give me a second. 1 second here. Let's see. All right. Just getting a few people in here. Yes. Give me a quick second, y'all. All right, there we go. Then, 1 second. Just about done. But we're going to talk a little bit about Daniel and him being in the lion's den and some of the things that transpired out of there. A lot of times we don't see what the word until we like understand the word or see the word until we really dig down deep into it. And we were in life study last night, a Bible study, and Sunday our pastor preached on Daniel chapter 6, and it broke down a few things of understanding to me, and then we just kind of went into it last night while I was teaching at Bible study. And one of the things that stood out to me in this verse, in this chapter, was not only did Daniel have haters, he had supreme haters. And it was mad because of they were mad at him because of his position, which is kind of, to me, it's kind of petty because they carried it very high positions. And these very guys that were appointed to him, that was under him, wanted him gone because of the favor that he had with King Darius. Daniel sat number 3 in the kingdom. So it was King Darius, one other person, then Daniel. And when Daniel um, sat in this position, he had authority. And being that he served God the way he did, he honored him. He wasn't willing to change the way he honored God and the way he reverenced him and worshiped him based off of, um, I'm going to say, a decree that was sent out based on a lie. So I'm going to start at verse 1, but I'm going to skip around a little bit. But it says, it pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom, and over these three presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred. Then this Daniel was preferred above presidents and princes because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. And I'm going to start right there for a second. And a lot of times, the Lord will give us authority. He will give us um, favor in different places. And what happens is people get to the point to where they're upset because of where God has placed us. They don't understand why do we have such authority, or why do we have the giftings, the power that He's put in us, or I'm gonna just say the privilege that He's given us. And it's all because we're serving Him the way we're supposed to. We're serving Him in spirit and in truth. We're giving Him our all. He comes first before anything. He comes first before everything. And when we do that, what it does is allow him to put us in places that people didn't think we were supposed to be, primarily in high places of office, in high office places, such as, and just, I'm going to go to the world for a moment. And just good evening, Renetta, and good evening, Mary. I meant to speak earlier. I'm sorry. Um, I'm going to go to our worldly jobs right now. So, yeah, people in high places, some of them honestly really shouldn't be there because they don't know what they're doing. They got there either based off of um, somebody else's work, or they got there based off of sometimes who you know, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But in this case, with Daniel, Daniel got there based off of his character, based off of his um, it was based off his character and who he was, when wasn't nobody else around. Who he didn't change up when no one else was around. He kept his loyalty and his integrity intact all the time. It wasn't just part time; it was all the time. So he had opportunity to serve in that position, and God will do us the same way. But we have to, in most cases, make sure that we're doing things the correct way, making sure that we are in place where we're supposed to be. We're on time like we're supposed to be. We're doing what we agreed to do. Daniel did that. And these guys that was up under him got mad because they didn't like him in that position. So the presidents, let me go back to this real quick. The presidents and the princes sought to find occasion against, which occasion means a problem against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find none occasion. So they couldn't find anything nor fault. For as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. So he did what he was brought on to do. He did his job. But at the end of the day, the ultimate thing is he trusted God. He was faithful to God in his service to God. And these men then said, these men, we should not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. So this is where Satan will try to set you up. He'll try to attack you if he can't get you physically. If he can't get you, find fault in you, he'll come a different direction. And what he'll do is try to blindside you with it. And that's what he did with Daniel here. And what he went in to do, um, what they went in to do was just crazy to me, because what did he do to cause you to be like this outside of you being jealous of what he has or what he was doing? If it was meant for you to be in the position, you would have been chosen to be in the position. If you don't get yourself in order, especially when it comes to God, then you won't achieve what he wants you to achieve, because you'll be out of place. And we have to be in place and serving him in spirit and in truth. And what'll happen is he'll elevate us. Daniel was elevated because of his faithfulness to God. Then when King Darius put him in the position he was in, he was faithful through and through. No fault, no blame, no nothing. He did his job the way he was supposed to do, and he stayed out of trouble. In other words, as we will say, he stayed out of the way. He kept himself free and clear of any blame, any fault, any lies, things like that. But these guys got together and conspired against him because of his position. And oftentimes in church service, in our work service, anything that we're doing, a lot of times people get jealous of what you're doing and they want you gone. They want your position, but they don't realize the work that comes with the position that you're in, or the work that comes with the title. See, people want titles, but they don't want the work to come with it. And the higher you go, the more work you have to do, the more serving you have to do. You have to become a servant with the titles that you get. And the higher your title is, the more servitude you have to have. So you have to be a servant and diligent over the things that God gives you to do in your elevation. So then these presidents and princes assembled together, excuse me, to the king and said thus unto him, King Darius, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes, the counselors and the captains have consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, in other words, except you, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing, that it be not changed according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree. See, they tricked him into signing it because they made a claim basically, you should do this so that people can worship only you. That's crazy. Why? What was your purpose? But it was to set Daniel up. Let me read on. Now, when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, see, Daniel knew about it. He went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled down upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed, excuse me, y'all, and gave thanks before his God as he did aforetime. So, in other words, he did this all the time, 3 times a day, the same time every day. So he did this 3 times a day, the same time every day. That's commitment. That was his commitment to God. I'm going to pray to you and worship you at the same time every day, 3 times a day. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication, before his God. Then they came near and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree that every man that shall ask a petition of any man or any god or a man within 30 days, except for you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, the thing is true according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. He's just like a hater. Run and say something that you didn't you tell somebody not to do this? Didn't you tell them not to do that? We all had that one student in class with us that was that way. Didn't you say not to do such and such and such? Well, so and so is over here doing it. Eventually, for them to get in trouble, the one that went and snitched. Remember, they said snitches get stitches. Wait till we get deeper into this. So then answered they and said before the king, that Daniel, which is of the children of the captivity of Judah, regardeth not thee. In other words, he don't respect you, O king, nor the decree. So he don't respect you or what you put in place. And thou hast signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day. So in other words, he don't respect what you said. He don't respect what you ordered. He doesn't respect your decree that you signed. And he's doing his own thing. He's doing whatever he want to do, going against what you said do. It's how people work. And it's crazy. It's crazy how people do things not realizing that they could be affected by the consequences of it. And then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased with himself. He was angry with himself and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. So King Darius was in a rage at that point because he was mad at himself. And then he was mad that Daniel didn't follow his words because his rules, because Daniel was in this high position. A lot of times we do ourselves like that too. A lot of times people, I'm sorry, let me go back. A lot of times people are placed in positions and the Lord has shown that they are worthy of the position. But one person come in, you need to watch so and so and so. You need to do this. Why ain't you doing this? To me, worry about yourself. Because if you can't prove this that they're doing something wrong, why even mention it? That's the thing. That's the catch. They didn't even have proof. But because of that decree being in place, King Darius went ahead and went with what they said, and he became angry. Which, you kind of get understandable, because you put somebody in this high position, or you put somebody in this position, and they went against what you said, or didn't do what you've asked and put in place, and there's a reason why it's put in place. Now, this was maliciously put in place because of those princes and the presidents. So then these men assembled unto the king and said unto the king, Know, O king, that the law of the Medes and Persians is that no decree nor statute which the king established may be changed. So they thought it was going to be the same forever. So what they did was, when they put it in place, at that time when the king put something in place, it stayed forever. It never changed, unless he went back and decreed something else and said, "Hey, maybe you know the law what I put in place before, I'm going to amend it and say that it's only done once a day, or is we're not going to do it this way anymore. We're going to do it this way." But at that point in time, they were saying that whatever he established, he didn't change, which is funny in itself, because y'all have to abide by the changes that's made. What are you doing? Are you abiding by the rules, or are you doing it your way? And then the king commanded that they brought Daniel and cast him in the den of the lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy God, whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. Right there, that statement alone, right there, put Darius in a different place, because at that time he spoke over Daniel. And I don't know if like I was saying last night in Bible study, I don't know if anybody ever paid attention to that scripture in that, but it hit me yesterday when I was studying, and I was like, oh, so Darius spoke life over Daniel before he threw him in the den. Because when he threw him in the den, he put a rock over there. He sealed it, and then he sealed it to keep him from getting out. But he told him, that wasn't a question, that was a statement, because there's a period. He told him, Thy God, whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. I don't believe it was sarcastic why he meant it, why he said it, probably why he was upset and angry, with Daniel because of this. He didn't say it with a question mark. We're going to get to the question he said later. So, and the stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet and with the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. In other words, I'm gonna seal this, and I'm not changing my mind about this. So he's in there. He's in there. So this is where it really got interesting. Then the king went to his palace and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. He did this and couldn't even rest. How many times are your enemies not resting because they did something malicious against you and they shouldn't have done it? And God keeps them up so they can think about what they did to you. Or better yet, how many times have you done something and you've had to stay up all night and think about it because it was wrong, or you mistreated somebody? But God, in his omniscient power that he has, he does that to make us think about the things that we do so that we can repent and ask for forgiveness, because we're not supposed to be mistreating each other. We're supposed to be loving on each other and giving respect to each other. I can't go out here and expect to go out here and be a tyrant and everybody and say everybody gonna love me, or go out here and be doing stuff maliciously to people, or doing stuff to people in general, and expect to be loved. That's not how it works. We're supposed to love people with the love of Christ and be respectful amongst each other. We're not supposed to be doing backhanded, backdoor stuff like this that these presidents and these princes did to Daniel. And then now turn around and you have the king in a position to where I believe he knew Daniel didn't do nothing. But what this did is brought the king, King Darius, closer to God. And something that our pastor said last night um, was basically that Daniel was Darius's path to God. Think about that. It's going to point itself out here in a second. Then the king went to his palace and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. Then the king arose very early in the morning and went in haste into the den of lions. He ran to the lions' den to see what really happened. And when he came to the den, he cried in a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spake and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God, whom thou servest, continually able to deliver thee from the lions? So this is where he questioned. Did he really deliver you? Because before he made the statement. So we have to remember our words have to go out. Our words go out and do things. So as we speak them, they go out and perform what they speak. So when he spoke that Daniel in verse 16, when he said, thy God whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. He didn't ask him like he did in verse 20, where he says, is thy God whom thou servest continually able to deliver thee from the lions? So I believe he was trying to take back what he had already established and done with the decree and throwing Daniel in there because he didn't get any rest. He was tormented throughout the night because he didn't get any rest. He didn't get any rest because he knew what he did was wrong. That man had done nothing. Then Daniel said unto the king, O king, live forever. My God hath sent his angel and hath shut the lions' mouths, that they have not hurt me. For as much as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt? Or have I done no hurt? So basically, what Daniel was saying in verse 22 was, I'm innocent. God knew I was innocent, so he sent his angel. And what our pastor preached on this on Sunday was God to send an angel to deliver you and protect you. So we have protection around us all the time. It's up to us to activate that protection, because if we start talking crazy or acting funny, then we hinder our angels from protecting us. We have to be mindful of that. And then we have to be innocent in the fault. Daniel was innocent in his fault. He did nothing but what he was supposed to do before God. And these men got mad and upset with him because of his position, and they wanted him out of position because they thought they were going to get the position. See, they was expecting when Darius made a decree about, basically don't serve for 30 days. You can't serve no other God. You can't worship no other God. You can't ask no other God for anything. Because at that time they believed in multiples. Some of them believed in multiples. Go back and read, you'll see that. But when they did those things, what happened is Daniel, he stood on business basically. His faith was on fleek, and he stood on business. He knew where his no-soul ground was. He knew where his foundation was. He knew what he needed to do in order to continue to prosper. But in this case, in his innocent thrown in that lion's den, God sent an angel. He sent an angel of protection to close that lion's mouth. And if we think about it, how many times have God done that for us? Things have come to devour us, and he sent the angel of protection to close that particular lion's mouth. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a lion. It could be anything that's coming to take us out. Our health, people around us, the stress from the world, the stress from the job, um, debt building up, um, families not getting along, your business falling apart, things like that come to devour us, and God sends an heavenly protection, which is an angel, to come and make sure that we get back on the right path. One, and then two, making sure that we don't take our eyes on off of Him. A lot of times we go through things and we put God on the back burner because we feel like He's left us, and He hasn't. We have to go through things in order for us to be the example. There's no testimony without a test. And we have to go through some things in order for us to lead people to Christ. Because if we can't relate to the people that we're trying to lead to Christ, then what happens is it can cause a disconnect, because then they don't think that we're real. They don't think that we're truly serving God. And then some of them might not believe that God is even real. And the thing with that, and I've said this a few times before, and I stand on this. We may be the only Jesus on the only picture of God that people see. And we have to be on our best behavior all the time. He didn't say it was going to be easy, because if He made it easy, we wouldn't appreciate it. If He gave us everything that we wanted when we asked, we wouldn't appreciate it. The faith without works is dead. So we have to put in the work to get the things that we need. Daniel put in his work to get the things that he needed, and he was putting in his work for God. But you got those people out there that will hate on you so bad because you're ahead of them or you're moving ahead of them. And what'll happen is they'll get jealous of you. And jealousy can mess people up because it starts blinding them, it starts confusing them, it starts making them be upset about things that has nothing to do with them. And then the other thing that didn't make sense here was they really just had as much power as Daniel. Only thing is that Daniel was overseeing the works that they were doing. But what they thought was that, and I believe what they thought was that they were going to get his position if they got him out the way, or or either get his position or get closer to the king and be able to manipulate the king. So then, after Daniel told him, "O king, I have done no hurt," then was the king exceedingly glad for him, and commanded that they should not fake, that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his God. The same thing with us. When problems come, when troubles come, when people turn their backs on us, when people are talking bad about us, when people are trying to destroy our character, our integrities in question based off of what some he say, she say stuff that don't went around, the people around you that have trusted you forever don't trust you no more based off of what somebody said, because they tainted their vision of you, their view of you. They tainted it based off of things that they said, which is not cool. Because why you gotta lie about something in order to get ahead? Because just because you lied about it doesn't mean that you're gonna last where you're trying to get, or that position is for you. So then from there, the king commanded that they brought those men which had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions, them, their children, and their wives. He destroyed the whole family for them lying. So is it worth it to lie to try to get ahead? I'm gonna say no. I hope everybody else would say no, because if you look at this situation alone, this one right here, those guys lied on him. They accused him of something that at the time went against the king's decree, but they manipulated the king into believing something, and it almost cost the king to lose his other guy that he placed in charge that he trusted. I would say he was his friend. Now, just me personally, I probably wouldn't have trusted Darius after that because, given the situation, you listen to them, threw me in this lion's den. While I wasn't worried about it because I knew God was going to protect me, but you threw me in this lion's den and I did nothing. You didn't even question me and ask me being the person that I am. Yes, they did, Apostle. Me being the person I am and being in your presence in the position I have in your kingdom, you didn't even question and ask me a question. You went based off of what they say. Can I trust you? Can I believe that if anything else comes up, you're going to listen to me or you're going to come and ask me prior to believing? And again, those guys manipulated King Darius into believing something that was not true. It's so many times that people do that with people just to make you look bad. I don't know how many times it's been done to me where people have gone to people and lied on me about something or said that, they doing this and he's doing this and he's doing that. And I haven't done anything. I don't even hang around you or the people you say I was with. I wasn't even around them. It just didn't make sense. But had it not happened, I wouldn't have learned how to deal with things. And I believe in this case too, going back to Daniel for a moment, I believe he learned how to deal with more things and being in God's grace even more for trusting him through this test, through this process. Now his testimony is the Lord saved me in the midst of me being accused. The Lord saved me in the midst of me being put to a death sentence for something I didn't do. The Lord protected me in the midst to show, and the Lord protected him to show King Darius who he was, who the Lord is. And when he gave him that, um, when he showed him who he was, Darius created another decree. After, again, he took those guys that lied on Daniel and threw them, their kids, their wives, into the lion's den. And the lions had the mastery of them. In other words, they tore them up and break all their bones in pieces, or every or ever they came at the bottom of the den. So when they was throwing them in at the den, they was tearing them up, ate them. I don't think it was nothing left, nothing. So King Darius wrote unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. I make it to decree that every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God and steadfast forever, and his kingdom which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end. He delivereth and rescueth, and he worketh signs and wonders in heaven and in earth, who have delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. So he went from one king to another based off of God taking care of him, based off of him serving God and God protecting him and him having favor from God. Was wild. Was I won't say was wild. Was the other thing that noticeable about this is Darius recognized who God was based off of what he did for Daniel. At the time, Darius, you know, he allowed Daniel to do what he did what he was doing because he knew. I believe he knew what he was doing before. Yes, but God, he. But what he had to do was Daniel had to go through what he went through so Darius can see God for who he was and reverence him. I believe he believed in God because of the statement he said in 16 again. The God you continually serve it will protect you. And that's just putting it in, layman's terms, but the God that you continue to serve will protect you. We need to believe that. And oftentimes, God will use your enemies to speak something over your life that is actually in direct path of what God has set up for you. A lot of times people say stuff and they don't even realize they said it. Sorry, y'all. A lot of times people will say stuff and don't even realize they said it. That's why Darius couldn't rest because I believe he went back and thought about what he said. Oh, man. Oh, what did I do now? I messed up. I got to fix this. So he couldn't rest. And then when he got up, he ran to the den, to the lion's den, and hurried up and opened it up. And basically yelled down there, Daniel, are you alive? He was scared because I believe he knew the power of God, but he didn't understand the power of God. And when he didn't get that rest, that's absolutely right, because that's exactly what they did with Daniel. Push you to your destiny, apostle. Because, I mean, you got to look at it like this. If we didn't have a push coming from somewhere, it would take us forever to get to where we're going. So sometimes the Lord would bring an enemy to push you to your destiny. He'll bring somebody that's going to go against you to push you to your destiny. Because when somebody, for me, if somebody is negative about what I'm doing, it's going to make me work harder. And it's not to prove to them that I can do it. It's to show you that I got God on my side. And he's going to allow me to achieve what he has set for me to achieve. And I believe that's part of the destiny push, pushing you to your destiny by having somebody that's going to question what you do, that's going to lie on you, that's going to try to turn the very people that have promoted you against you. And we all have had some people in our life, or still have people in our life that's doing that. Probably got people talking about us right now. I'm talking about, and I'm not just talking about me and prophets. I'm talking about us, period. Those are the believers. Probably got people that's talking about us right now in high places and don't know what they're talking about or lying. You know, that guy over there, he this, or that lady over there, they that. It makes no sense to me. You could be in the same position or doing the same thing that I'm doing if you trust God. Who do you trust, God or me? Daniel trusted God. Then he ended up serving under two powerful kings. Two. That's amazing. Because sometimes when kings change, the court change. So the people that the cabinet that's under you change. Just like in the presidency. When the president leaves office, usually that cabinet changes. Because now that new president that's coming in is hiring new people for that position. But if you got somebody that's in position that's negative or trying to lie their way to the top, it doesn't work. It normally backfires. It's like it backfired on these guys. And the king killed threw their whole family in the lion's den for some stupid stuff that they did. The push is going to show them that God can and will let them see the move of his hand, and you don't have to prove a thing. That is so true. And the reason why that's true is because when they pushing you like that, is to actually knock you off your square. It's to keep you from moving ahead because they don't want to see you progress. But what God will do is allow you to achieve everything just to show them who he is and why he is. And you don't have to prove nothing to anybody. It's just showing them that, hey, I'm not giving up off of this. I'm not doing what you. It's the same thing Daniel did when he went to that window 3 times a day. That same place that he had been going to all this time, and he went. He continued to go there even with the decree happening or with the decree being put in place. He still went there. He still went to that window and worshiped God every day. He didn't change up. We're not to change up. Just because somebody don't like us or somebody got a problem with us, we're not supposed to change up. Because okay, I can put this question out there. What if Jesus changed up when he was getting when he started getting attacked? His character started getting attacked, his integrity started getting attacked. What if he changed up? Where would we be right now? And yes, obedience to God. And we have to obey his commands. We have to obey what he's called us to do. Because if we can't obey in the calling, we're not going to obey in the choosing. If we can't follow the calling like we're supposed to, we're not going to follow the choosing. Because when he calls you to train you. And then after he trains you, he chooses you to be in the position. And if we can't handle the calling, the choosing part, we're not going to make it to. Because we're going to do the exact same thing we're doing in the calling, getting in our own way and not being obedient to what he says for us to do, which we make hard. We make a mountain out of a molehill sometimes with the things that the Lord wants us to do. The one thing he wants us to do is worship him in spirit and in truth. The other thing he wants us to do is to reverence him and then obey him. Easy. But guess what we'll do? We'll go out here and we'll obey man. They tell us to walk 2 miles per hour. We're going to walk 2 miles per hour because what? We don't want to get a ticket, or we don't want to go to jail, or we don't want to get in trouble. We go to work every day, but we slight going to church. We go to work every day and do everything those people we tell us to do, but we want to do the simple things God tells us to do. Is I don't get it. Simple things, small things, minute things, not made, and a lot of them is not major. Yes, because his hand is mighty and it'll hurt if he swing it. Don't want to get a whooping by God. Seek his face. Seek his face daily. And being obedient to him, that's part of it. It gets us closer to him, gets us a closer walk with him, gets us in closer relation with him, gets us in closer fellowship with him. And once we build a relationship, we go into sonship. And as we go into the sonship, it allows us to progress. Daniel was in sonship with God at this point, and he showed that he was in sonship with him. He had a relationship with him. It was constant contact. It was a consistent thing. And that's the thing with being a true believer, is being consistent in the things that we do. Again, we're not perfect. We're fleshly, we're spiritual beings living in a fleshly life. And what happens is the flesh be strong and the spirit man gets weak sometimes because we're not working him out and building him up. But when the spirit man gets strong, it beats the flesh up daily. It kills the flesh daily, which means it's suppressing the flesh so we don't have carnal thoughts all the time, or the carnal thoughts don't come, and we're focused on Jesus, the love of God. We're focused on God and everything that he wants us to do. We're focused on the commandments. We focus on living a fruitful, prosperous life through God our Father. Allowing the Holy Spirit to lead and guide us through our daily life. Meaning we're being in constant contact with God through the Son Jesus on a daily basis. All the time. I believe we should have a constant conversation going on with God. And what that consists of is prayer. consistent prayer, not just half stepping through life and then when we need him, we pray. Again, Daniel didn't pray when he needed him. That's why he wasn't worried about getting thrown in the lion's den. Because I honestly believe, and I told him this yesterday, I honestly believe that he believed he was either going to be free on one side or free on the other side. Either way, he was going to be protected. If they took his fleshly body, he knew his spirit was going to be with God. He didn't worry about that. He didn't go in feeling like, oh man, I'm gonna die. Oh, I'm going in here in the lions den. They gonna eat me up. No, he said, well, it is what it is. Just like the 3 Hebrew boys. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. You throw us in that furnace, it is what it is. If I live and we live, we live. If we die, we die. I know one thing, if I die, I know where I'm going. So they wasn't worried about all that. They knew God was going to protect them because they were committed to him. And what happened? That furnace was so hot that the people was walking up on it. They see that this is where they should have known something. Even with Daniel and the lions den, this is where they should have paid attention to something. Because if you go back and think about both of those stories, that furnace was so hot that the guards that was just walking past it burnt up. But you made these men go in there. And then as they was walking around the furnace, first of all, they went in and walked out. They didn't burn up. Their clothes didn't get singed. But when you looked in there, you shouldn't have saw them because they should have burnt up just like the guards did, right? But they saw them walking around with the 4th person, which was the Holy. I believe it was God walking with them, protecting them, shielding them. But again, the guards burnt up. They couldn't even get close to it. It was so hot, and they made it hotter than it. It had to be molten lava or something hot, like a million degrees. Because when you read the story and you get and you really read it, it says those guys again they approached the opening and burnt up. But yet you have 3 men that walked in, didn't burn up. And then when you saw that it was the 4th person in there and you let them out, they still didn't burn up. They didn't even smell like the furnace. Their clothes didn't even get singed. Hair on their head didn't get singed. Think about it. And then you going back to Daniel, he was thrown in the lion's den. And lions are very territorial. So you step into their den, they coming after you unless they know who you are. And a lot of times, even in the zoos, some of the zookeepers won't go into those lions' dens, those caves where those lions cages where they got them lions because they know how they will react to them. They have to put those animals to sleep in order to even move them most of the time. So think about it. You got the 3 Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, into the fiery furnace. People burning up outside the furnace, but they ain't touched. Then you got Daniel, who was thrown in the lion's den, came out unscratched, no nothing. And you threw these other guys in there, and as soon as you threw them in there, when they hit the bottom, they were eaten up, them and their families, immediately. It wasn't okay, we're gonna stand in the corner, they're gonna come and get me, or I'm gonna run around in circles, they ain't gonna take me. No. As soon as they threw them in there, they was destroyed. But Daniel came out unscratched, unmarked, protected by God. How many times have God protected us like that in the midst of a battle, in the midst of a lion's den, over issues that we didn't cause? And some of them we caused, and he still protected us. Think about it. Really think about it. Really take some time and really focus on the times that you've caused something, God saved you. Or something that you didn't cause, God saved you. Wrong place at the wrong time. God saved you. The time where you was in the car with somebody and they was driving erratically and almost lost the control of the car, and they didn't. Or even the times where you've been doing something stupid and if you shouldn't have made it out of there, but God saved you. Those are times where he sent the angel to close the devourer's mouth. And think about this, how Satan works. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And he didn't say what he was coming to steal, kill, and destroy. But one of the main things that he tries to is our soul. If he can get to us, get it to our soul, get to our spirit, man, he know he can get us if we allow him in. And what I mean when I say he didn't say what he was coming to kill, steal, and destroy, because his plan was to destroy everything. Anything that God had placed his hands on, anything that God had something to do with, Satan wants to destroy. And that's because he thinks he is God. He thinks he is comparable to God, and he's not. And we don't need to give him the grace and the space to even govern himself around us. We need to rebuke him and send him back to the pits of hell, because he's one of the accusers. He's an accuser of the brethren. So he's going to accuse us of things before God. Again, one of my stories that I love, one of the stories in the Bible that I love is, look at Job. He accused Job. You turn if you allow anything, he's gonna curse you and turn his back on you. Watch and see what I tell you. He said, touch his body, but not his soul. Go ahead and try him. He ain't gonna turn on me. Can God trust us like that? Think about it. He trusted Job. He trusted Daniel. He trusted the 3 Hebrew boys because he knew their faith weren't going to waver. But in this case, since we're talking about Daniel, he knew Daniel's faith wasn't going to waver. He knew Daniel wasn't, no matter what, was not going to turn his back on him. That's why he was able to gain favor. And then again, going from one king's cabinet to the next king's cabinet, that's favor. God will set us up the same way if we serve him the way we're supposed to. If we take notes from what we read in our Bibles and we take those notes and put them together and we format the understanding and we use it, we're supposed to use it to our advantage. We're supposed to take it and grow from it. And a lot of people don't do that. They take the Bible as just another book that was written by a man or some man, and they don't believe it. I read somewhere today where somebody higher up was saying that if God wanted people to speak Spanish, I'm kind of paraphrasing, that he would have written the Bible in Spanish and not English. But first of all, I need to understand there's multiple interpretations of the Bible. And he created everybody. So there's difference in nationalities for a reason. And I believe when in the upper room, when they were speaking in tongues, that's when he separated the speech. When they were, I believe that's when, because they were all speaking in different tongues, but they understood each other. Think about it. And think about how many different languages we have now. We have one heavenly language, which is speaking in tongues, but everybody doesn't interpret it. But think about it. Think about that. But going back to Daniel and Darius. The Lord used Daniel to pull Darius in because I believe Darius had a small amount of faith that pulled him in to believing that God would save Daniel. And because he couldn't rest, because he knew he had messed up, he ran over there to that cave, to that den, had them pull that rock back out that den and yelled in there, "Did God save you? Did your God save you?" And when he heard Daniel's voice, he knew he did. Again, we have people that will question God with us. Will God save you? Yes, he will. I can go back to the that he was a kid at the time that Satan used at that school shooting in Columbine when he asked that young lady that she was basically was she a believer, and he told her, "I'll let you live if you basically worship the devil, say you worship the devil or denounce God." And she wouldn't. She wouldn't do it. How many of us is willing to live that type of life where we will not turn our back on God? Daniel didn't. Even in the midst of that lion's den, Daniel didn't. The three Hebrew boys again. In that midst, Daniel and they didn't. And see what we run into a lot of times, we mess up and we think God don't love us no more, or God don't want to be bothered with us no more because we messed up. And we try to hide or we run away from him, we turn our back on him and we start questioning. These guys didn't question him. It didn't matter what went on around them. They didn't question God and their faith in God. They trusted him no matter what. And what we as believers have to do is trust him no matter what. Simple things, the small things. I mean, think about it. We don't go through a whole lot of major big stuff on a daily basis. It's little small stuff that trip us up. Because I believe most people now, a lot of people now would have, instead of praying to God like they been doing consistently, if somebody came and said, you can't pray no more, a lot of people will stop praying. If somebody came and said, you can't have your Bible no more, a lot of people put their Bible up. Well, a lot of people already done that. So if our phones or electronic devices weren't able to get the Bible on it anymore, a lot of us wouldn't pull this out. Something that we were taught, and the only way you're going to be able to do this is through one of these. Keep one in the chamber. You never know when you're going to need it. And that's a word from God. And where you get the word from? Here. Daniel did what he was supposed to do every day at the same time, three times a day, so that he gave God his reverence, he worshiped him like he was supposed to, and he stayed in constant contact, which allowed God to keep his word and do what he said he would do by protecting him. We have to do the same thing. How many of us are willing to live that type of life to where we have no worries and God protects us through everything? All right, y'all. That is our word for this evening. Remember, sometimes we enter that lion's den and God is protecting us. He sends an angel to protect us. Now, if you're in Norfolk on Sundays, or even just visiting, come and hang out with us at Zion Word Restoration Church. That's 2100 Ballantyne Boulevard, Norfolk, Virginia. Service time is at 10 a.m. Our pastor is Superintendent Joshua Willis. And if you are in Chicago in the Midwest, well, Northern Midwest, I should say, go visit Chief Apostle Jennifer Davis at 449 East 111th Street at In God's Time International Outreach Ministries. And their service time starts at 12 p.m. Central Time. If you're in Kansas City, go check out Chief Apostle. Go check out Apostle Latonda and Apostle Charles McDonald, pastors of Full Armor of God Apostolic International Ministries at 8448 Their service time is at 10 a.m. I don't know why I was going to say 10 p.m. Y'all start service at 10 p.m. Let me know, because I want to see this. But their service time is at 10 a.m. I know y'all do it if the Lord tell y'all to do it. Don't come on here fussing at me. But I appreciate y'all joining me tonight. Um, Prophetess to be back soon. Um, I miss her over there, but she'll be back. Just keep her lifted in prayer. Um, we want to thank y'all for joining the Mac Report. Again, I'm Elder Armand. Appreciate y'all in tonight. Thanks for some of the feedback. Again, like I was saying last week, or it might have been a week before, I can put questions in there. I can put statements in there. We're going to start making sure we recognize the statements that come in and read them off, because a lot of them fall. I'm not going to say a lot of them. All of them really fall into right into what we're teaching, and it is true. Y'all have a good night. Love y'all. Prayerfully see y'all the same time next week. God willing.